Good morning, everybody. So, this morning we're going to be doing some what I call feel good flow, tying in with my shoulder therapy exercises. Not every single one, but something that we're starting to work on is obviously bearing more weight on hands and knees for me. And every week I do one guided practice um, like this, where I kind of let you see what I'm working on as I'm recovering from my shoulders beyond a yin, a restorative, or a gentle practice. Really, how I integrate shoulder therapy with yoga, and how, as I'm kind of transitioning through this process, how am I learning to love the body I have now and observe the different changes and notice that there's a difference in terms of my left and right side. And hopefully, as I'm walking through this and we're conversating through today's practice, you'll have moments where you can relate to, "Hmm, yep, I know what she's meaning." Even if it's not the same injury, you'll know that, my body sometimes isn't there either. My mental state is over there. How can we practice loving our body with the injuries it has, with the conditions it has, with the state of where we are? So, join me on the mat. We're going to flow. We're going to open up the shoulders. We're going to learn how to do some of my therapy work that requires stability and weight bearing in the very minimal sense, because I'm in the minimal stage right now. So let's go ahead and start this practice, as always, with some good grounding work. We're going to come on to our seated pose with those hands to your knees. If you're looking to ground your energy this morning, I always encourage you to let the palms face down. If you're looking to receive energy, whatever energy you need, let the palms face up. And I like to start it with palms up to start my day. Um, and I do Ganya Mudra, so it's basically your index and middle and thumbs touching, and the other three fingers forward like this. So this is a great mudra for helping you focus your mind. And close your eyes. And let's begin to take a total of 10 deep breaths. Okay. At any time during this practice, feel free to come back to those nourishing deep breaths to ground your mind. And one of the things I would like us to do on this mat today is to find our own inner teacher. As I start to guide you through this morning practice with me, let me just simply be a guide. Let me be a student with you, and let us use our inner wisdom and inner self as a source of a guiding force, a guiding light, a teacher to tell us what to remove and add into our practice, to really tune into our bodies and really encouraging yourself to take ownership on your mat today. Let's go ahead and just open our eyes, let it feel good. I'm going to start to bring my hands on my knees. And part of my feel good practice is always starting my day with just about any three movements in my seated pose. If you're like me and we're just waking up, we haven't really opened into our bodies. So there's all kinds of stiffness and yumminess that you're trying to work into. This is such a good time to work into that space. So I'm going to add some head movements here. One of the encouragements of movements when we come into this practice is to explore, to let yourself bring the awareness inwards on where you are in today's body, not yesterday, today's body, in this very moment. Okay, let's go ahead and come back into the center. And we're going to start our practice today on hands and knees. So this is where we will live most of our practice. This is where I literally practice most of my things. And you'll want to come to the middle back of your mat. I'm going to do a side view so you can really see the different alignments and things like that. And so I'm going to come on to my hands and knees here. And my knees joints are right underneath my hip joints. My wrist joints are underneath my shoulder joints. And I like to tuck my toes in because I find that helps me really root down to Mother Earth a little deeper. I can really feel that mat below me. And just very gently, I'm going to keep rocking out the hips. Something about waking up in the morning and just doing movements like this makes it feel so good. We're going to take some hip rolls, kind of observe the hips. So hip rolls for me are just like circular movements into the hips, dropping those hips back down to the heels, reversing it a few times. And then I start to explore my shoulders. So I take what I call wrist shoulder rolls. So I'm just taking circular movement into my wrist. And this begins our shoulder element of it. So when I started to bear weight into my shoulders coming back on this mat, this is literally where I stood, tabletop, and did nothing. And I observed where my body weight was leaning, how it feels for that AC joint that I separated. Um, and doing these circular wrist movements really help me because it helps me kind of understand how to strengthen and develop my wrist space as well as with my distribution of body weight between my arms and my shoulder as well as my upper back. Okay, now from here, we're going to start into that child's pose and tuck your toes at this point. Drop the hips down towards the heels. Continue to rock the hips left and right. Something, again, so yummy just to add that extra movement. And then we're going to guide into that full child's pose. Go ahead and rest your forehead down onto the mat. Again, those deep, slow breaths. Relax your shoulders. Relax your arms. Relax your heart. Very gently start to activate your arms and upper back. Start to roll onto all five fingertips. And just feel yourself pushing the fingertips in towards the mat very gently. Press your body weight back down towards the hips a little more. Okay, just relax the heels of your hands down to the mat. And let's come back for that tabletop pose. Resting the hands underneath the shoulders. I'm tucking my toes in again. And letting it feel good. We're going to roll the heart space forward. Lift your chin, tailbone up. And just really notice if you're engaging your core because you're starting to compress the low back. And to support that low spine, you really want to draw that belly in towards your navel space. And then we're going to retract back, starting to round into your spine. Continue to push your hands away from the floor so you're engaging the upper back. And then inhale, lift your heart space forward, tailbone up. We're going to repeat that motion just at your own pace. Provide yourself time to transition between pose to pose. This way you're not rushing through your body, continuously maintaining that steady, slow heart rate, deeply calming your mind. Okay, let's come back for the neutral tabletop. One of my first postures I really enjoy doing, but it doesn't always enjoy me, is thread the needle pose. So it's a great one for the low back. It also encourages open shoulders, open heart space. So it kind of hits everything first thing in the morning. And so I'm going to take the knees underneath my hip joints. We're going to work on the spine alignment. So I'm going to start lifting my left arm up. As I exhale, I'm going to take that left arm through the right arm. Notice how slow I'm going on this side. This is my injured side. So when I come down and I start to drop my left shoulder down to the mat, I'm very, very careful with this because it leans my entire body weight into that left shoulder joint. Then I rest my left ear down to the mat. I'm starting to ease into this posture real slow, like snail style, like um, turtle style. So I'm gonna start to adjust the rest of my body. I want to keep my knees underneath my hip joints. And notice how I create this beautiful kind of triangle space here. It gives me space to really continue to rotate my belly and my chest towards this right side. And to get that help, I use my right hand. So my right hand's pushing into the fingertip, my elbow's rotating up. I'm going to very slowly push into my right hand so you can start to Instead of right shoulder rolling down to the mat, I'm really pressing and rotating the right shoulder back. I can feel that beautiful twist just coming into my low back. My belly's getting a nice massage from the twist. Now, the key thing about this when I say that thread the needle does not love me, especially on this side, is because this really requires you to lean a lot of body weight into that left shoulder joint. So I'm not loving this posture even while we're here. And so one way that I start to alleviate some of the body weight is I push into my right hand and start to lift my left shoulder up a little bit so I'm not leaning in my entire body weight down into that joint. And even then, like while I'm doing this, I have to engage a lot of my core strength, my right body strength to really lift and hold. So because of that, I don't hold it here for too long. So we're going to do this for another 3, 2, 1. There you go. Bring the right hand down. And we're going to lift and roll that upper body back into your hands. So again, like I said, we are our own teachers on the mat today. So you can take in and take out, add in or subtract out what you want to do for variations in this postures. There will be things I cannot do today that you might be able to do better than I can. And like I said, I'm a student on the mat as much as you are. And I'm turning into my inner guide, my inner teacher to tell me what I can and can't do. Okay, let's go ahead and come on to the other side. So I'm going to switch over so you can see what I'm doing on the other side. And this one's my stronger side, so I definitely can kind of show you the different variations a little better. So again, hands and knees underneath that hip joint. Let's go ahead and take that right arm up. And then exhale, I'm going to thread that right arm through. So I never have to hesitate on this side. So it's amazing to see the difference between the two sides. So my right shoulder just comes down nice and comfortable. My right ear's down to the mat. And at this point, I want to look at my toes. My knee joints are going to be underneath my hips. Full body alignment. And I want to start a twist and turn so my belly, my chest can turn up towards this left side. So my hands are going to help me. My left hand's going to press into the mat. I'm going to see if I can rotate this left shoulder up and back. Now, at this point, I can feel in my low back a nice, beautiful, nourishing twist. So your option here with your left hand that I didn't do on the other side is that your option 1 is always to maintain the hands on the floor. Option 2 is when you extend that left arm up towards the ceiling. Option 3 is for that half bind. So it's interesting. When I say you can add or subtract into your practice, it could be these arm movements of variations. I know some of our students have the practice of, adding a balance into this. I have not done it in so long. So we'll see how it goes. So the other variation you could do in this posture is once you feel like you have balance here, maybe lifting that left leg up and just hold it there. So up to you what you want to add or subtract for your morning practice. Remember, you are your own teacher. Okay, let's go and bring that left hand down, rise back onto your hands and knees, and take any movement on all fours that might feel good for your spine, perhaps your body. And just start to settle into that tabletop pose. The second pose that we're going to do, it's one that I've been working on that transitions us from a little weight bearing to a little big of a deep stretch to that shoulder space. And I've been doing this as my practice to understand weight bearing in the very sense of how it works with the down dog. So while I can do a down dog now, I actually only do it from the basis that I lean most of my body weight to my right side, my core, and my legs, and I barely put any weight to my left hand. So when my brother was looking at it the other day, he was noticing that because I was overcompensating on one side of my body, I was starting to overcompensate into my hips. So once we realized that, I decided that I'm not ready for down dog. Um, and I am going to modify it to what I'm going to show you now. So this is a great way to get that mimic of the upper body stretch you get in down dog. And simultaneously, you'll learn modifications for weight bearing on your knee. So what I do is I keep my knee joints underneath my hips. I'm going to come down onto my forearms and you're going to adjust as you go. So at this point, I'm kind of coming into my forearm plank. My knees are underneath my hips, and I don't go far back because I'm still, the further back your knees are, the more body weight you start to lean into your core, your upper back, your shoulders. It requires more weight. So right now, while we're here, I already feel the body weight into my left shoulder. It is not happy. It's not that it's not happy with me, it's more that I can feel how weak it is. So when I come into this, I go real slow. So I notice that I need a little bit more space. Maybe I'll just take my forearms up maybe 1 inch. And you'll see that once I roll my shoulders over the wrist, I can feel more body weight. I'm coming more into that forearm plank. And I'm shaking right now. So if my voice is shaky, you'll know why. But I add this into my yoga practice as a way to practice my weight bearing. But I add this with a breath flow. So when I inhale, I come back into the space. When I exhale, I very slowly start to guide my hips back. My forearms don't move. I'm just retracting my upper body back towards my hips. So the further you start to retract back, you're going to feel yourself shaking, and that's okay. And then just go slow. Inhale, start to roll the shoulders over the wrist. So for me, I don't know if I'm shaking because I don't have that much strength in my left shoulder right now. So reclining up and back, I'm requiring a lot of control into that shoulder joint. So listen to your body. Maybe you feel something completely different than I do. But this is one of the ways I do incorporate shoulder work, shoulder therapy into my yoga practice. And we're going to do this a total of 5 times. So I have about 2 more here. Use that breath in to roll forward, and then use that breath out to roll back. One more, and then roll back. Okay. I'm going to take a break, so I'm going to have you go ahead and just slowly roll forward, just come down on your belly. We're going to come into a Sphinx pose stretch. So I wanted to untuck my toes. And at this point, my forearms are underneath the shoulders, legs are at hip width. And I'm going to just reach my chest between my upper arms, slightly gaze up. And you can close your eyes. We're going to hold it here for a few breaths. Okay, let's go ahead and come back down towards the chest. And you can turn your head to any side you like. Let the arms go ahead and just rest along the sides of your body. I'm gonna do one more shoulder stretch. Again, this is a pose that I love, but it really does not love me at times. So let's see how it feels. I'm gonna start on the left side. So this is my weaker side. I'm gonna bring my right hand next to my chest and turning my head over to the right. And my left arm is out to the left, palms down. So if you were to visualize that left shoulder, left arm to left body angle, it should be creating that 90-degree angle. I'm going to bend my right knee. So this is called open wing pose. You are going to rotate the right knee up. Drop the right foot behind your left leg like so. Let the left toes point towards the left side of your mat. And with this one, as much as it is with a shoulder stretch, I love to take this into my hips first. So you'll notice instead of my right knee rotating in, I'm going to rotate my right knee up towards the ceiling and more towards the right side. So I'm creating that external rotation into my hips. Now simultaneously, my right shoulder is not caving into the floor. I want to see if I can open that right chest up towards the ceiling. So by doing that, you're really rolling your body more towards the left. And your option one is to stay here. Your option two is right arm up towards the sky. And option three is the right hand to the low back. So I'm going to take a couple deep breaths here. Well, surprisingly, the rather needle pose really does not love me today. The open wing pose is actually feeling really good for the left shoulder. So I'm really happy about that. It's always a hit or miss with my shoulders each day. Some days it is extra clicky, extra agitated. And that's something I've noticed as I'm starting to strengthen my left shoulder is that sometimes it just wants to talk back to me, and I have to continuously turn into my book of compassions, my patience, to not want to judge myself for where I am in. And so feeling so good on this side right now. It's just even an open wing means so much. And even it's just a stretch too. So well, anyways, we're gonna take another variation here. This is one I explored last week with my students. So I'm going to stretch my right arm actually over my head and towards the top corner. So it'll be like my right top corner here that I'm placing my right hand, as you can see. And I'm going to kind of keep my right hand where it is so you can continue to roll my body over to the left. It creates a very different kind of stretch when you start to move the right arm up and around, like so you can kind of play with it like I am. If I move it more overhead, I can feel a deeper stretch. Or maybe I can go here, I feel a different kind of stretch to the right side of my body. Okay, let's go ahead and just slowly come back onto the belly. Go ahead and let your arms rest along the sides of your hips. And turn your head over to the left. We're going to hang out here for a few moments so you can really start to let that circulation come back to that left shoulder. Okay, let's work on that other side. I'm going to bring the left hand next to your chest, right arm out to the right. And just take your time. Bend the left knee first. Rotate the left knee up. I'm going to plant that left foot behind my right leg. Make sure my right toes are facing the right side of my mat. And let's just start with that left knee. Instead of letting the left knee kind of roll closer towards the right leg, so you can actively rotate the left knee up towards the ceiling. Feel that nice, beautiful, gentle opening into the left hip. Simultaneously, notice if your chest and your left shoulder is kind of glued closer down towards the floor. If you can, depending on how tight that shoulder space and right chest is, use your left hand so you can start to very gently just rock and roll the body further to the right. I never want you to feel pain, so you really need to turn into your own body's awareness. If you start to feel pain, or number two, like not symptom, but like indication that you've gotten a little too far, is if you can't breathe. If you can't not comfortably breathe, go back a little bit, retract back a little bit, and then adjust your arms. You can bring that left arm up, or you can bring the left hand behind your back. Let's go ahead and just close your eyes. Listen to your breath. Okay. If you want to take a variation, this is time to, start to play with that left arm over your head. You can stretch over that left ear, notice how that feels, or even stretch towards that top corner of your mat. So this is what I mean by like adding in and subtracting out what you like to do. I don't usually see this as a variation for open wing pose, but I find that kind of observing and different placements within your body, you can add a different kind of opening and release. If you just get creative. All right, let's go ahead and bring the left hand back and just roll back onto your belly. Let the arms rest along the sides of your body. Turn your head over to the right. And let's go ahead and bring that chin back towards the center. I'm going to have you guide your hands next to your chest. And just ever so slightly, just compress the low back. And you're going to really rely on your lower mid back here instead of leaning so much weight to your hands. Maybe fly the hands up. Notice if you're using most of your strength from the low back or if you're just pressing through the fingertips and the hands. And then just gently come back down. Okay. We're going to come back onto the forearms, come back to what we were doing before. So I'm going to tuck my toes in. I'm on my knees already, so I'm going to just lift my hips up. And this is where I kind of play with the idea. Sorry, let me fix my hair. This is where I kind of play with the idea of that down dog. So I am almost mimicking that movement of a puppy dog. My knees are going to be underneath my hips, toes tucked in. So when I push back, I can kind of feel a strong grip. And then from here, I'm going to keep my forearms on the floor. I just really want to push my hips back. And as I'm doing this, I can feel that shoulder stretch coming on. And then eventually, once I kind of feel my hip space pulling back, then I'm actually going to lift my elbows up. It's spread my fingertips wide. My index finger should be pointing forward and keep energizing my body back towards the hips. So you can adjust my knees again underneath the hip joints. Keep pushing back. And when I say push back, it's instead of your shoulders over your wrist, you're trying to push your shoulders away from the wrist space. And so this is really how I've been coming into my modified down dog. Um, to me, it's a little different from puppy dog, and you'll see why, because when I'm in puppy dog, I'm trying to arch my low back. In this one, I'm trying to flatten my back and energize my body weight back. Okay, and that's about all I'm going to do. So I'm going to come back down to the forearms. And we're going to transition from here into what we were just talking about, puppy dog. So you'll notice there's a slight difference with puppy dog. When I transition into puppy dog from this posture, again, I still pull my energy back. My knees are always underneath my hips. I'm always adjusting my knees. Where the difference kind of lies on this is I'll let my forehead kind of drop down to the mat first. My forearms are going to stay on the floor. And instead of lifting my elbows up, I want to see if I can drop my chest towards the mat. Drop my forehead towards the mat. And if you're comfortable in this posture, especially if you're super bendy, you might find yourself coming onto your chin. So if you rewind this at any point and you look at the video, you'll notice that my puppy dog, my chest is more towards the mat, my back is arched. Whereas if I was doing my version of down dog practice, my arms are completely off the mat. My legs, my back is straight. So that version one is here for my practice of down dog and stretch to my shoulders and bearing weight. And this is my puppy dog. So vastly different. All right, let's go ahead and come back down to the forearms. Start to come up onto the hands. A lot of work to the shoulders. So how I release is taking my hands to my feet and I'm going to round my back. This gives me time to just let the shoulder caps and my shoulder joints start to rest. My hair is a hot mess today because I didn't want to tie it. But since we're all at home, let's just flow with it. I'm gonna give my shoulders a break right now and just work into my hips. And then we're going to come back into that shoulder therapy exercise, my last one actually that I'm going to show you. And then we're going to just wind down from there. So let's go ahead and come back into that hands and knees. So for our nice shoulder stretch today, I'm going to do it from, let's go into, didn't have this plan. So let's go ahead and go into lizard pose, directly towards that wide step. So hands underneath the shoulders. And we're going to take that right leg back. Bend the right knee up towards the right tricep. You're going to take the right foot to the outside of your right hands. Hands underneath the shoulders. Now at this point, I'm going to want to rotate my right toe out at that 45-degree angle. If you bend your right knee and you're not feeling a stretch to that left hip, I want you to kind of walk that left knee back. just enough so when you bend into your front knee, you can feel that front hip flexor getting into the space. And your option was to stay on your hands. I know some of us, when we do this, it might feel like too much body weight to your wrist. So my recommendation would be coming onto your actual fist. Now take your time. Continue to keep that right knee rotated away from your upper chest. Bring your gaze down between your hands. And if you're ready to go deeper, this is the time you're going to come down to the forearms. And close your eyes. We're going to take about a good minute here. For the time allocated here, remember you are your own teacher. So take any additional variations, movements, add and subtract what you need to. I'm going to ask you to come back onto your hands, tuck into that left footing, flex your right foot. I find that flexing my right foot helps me just kind of rock my hips back a little easier. If you can't go all the way back and straighten out your right leg, the way to do that roll back to straighten out your right leg might be kind of walking your hands a little closer to your body. At this point, my right foot is outside of both my hands. And I'm really extending my hip space back and getting a right hamstring stretch at this point. And then once I can extend my body weight back, then I can walk my hands forward, get that upper back stretch. Continue to pull my hips in the opposite direction of my hands. And then we're going to really step the right foot forward. And we're going to reverse back. So I want to bring my left knee underneath my left hip joint. Go ahead and slide my right knee back. Take a couple hip rolls if that feels good. I want to rebalance our body and kind of see how it feels on the other side. So I'm back on my hands and knees on the other side here. I'm going to take the left leg back. Bend the left knee to my left. Tricep, step the left foot forward and hands underneath the shoulders. I'm going to pivot that left toe out at that 45-degree angle. Hands underneath the shoulders. Start to pick up the right knee if you need to move the right knee back. Again, always do less or more depending on what kind of yoga, stretch, and movement you want for your body today. Now, again, if your hands are hurting with the wrist space, maybe come on to the fist. If you want to maybe do something completely different, go deeper, come down to the forearms. And just wherever you're at, I want you to close your eyes. Start to listen to the sound of the breath in, the sound of your breath out. let's come back onto your hands. Gonna flex into your left foot and tuck that back toe in. And just slow, start to hinge your hips back. You can walk your hands a little closer to your body if that helps you straighten out that left leg. And this is the first time we're really stretching out those hamstrings. So if you're tight, that is absolutely normal. And once you start to adjust your legs, adjust the hips back, you can walk the hands forward and just feel yourself kind of pulling your lower body away from your head. Drop your chin down to your chest. Okay, we're going to step the left foot forward. Start to reverse our way up. So we're going to walk that right knee underneath the right hip joint. Take that left knee back and bring any movement that feels good for your body. So our last tabletop pose for today before we kind of start to wind down is going to be on the lines of weight bearing. So, like I said, I'm starting to do some weight bearing exercises. So I love to kind of show you what I'm kind of working on week over week. So this week I'm working on hands and knees, and I only lift up for 3 seconds. So I'm not going to talk through it while I'm lifted. I'm going to probably talk you through it while my knees down, just so I'm not overstraining my shoulders or anything like that. So what we're going to do, we're going to do a set of 10 of these. I think if you get tired, which I might, because I just got this exercise on Thursday from my physical therapist, um, I might step out of it and just talk you through it, but you can go upwards of 10. So hands and knees, tuck your toes in. What I end up doing is, instead of sinking my shoulders into my upper back and disengaging my upper back, before I do my lift, I'm pushing my hands away from the floor. Notice how my upper back kind of lifts up. I'm starting to fill my shoulder blade space and I'm really lifting. Once I have that, I'm gazing down between my hands. I'm still pushing away from the floor. You can see my upper back kind of slightly lift and engage. Without losing this, I'm going to lift my knees 1, 2, 3, and then drop. And we're going to do that for a total of 10. 3 seconds, hold, and that's it. Okay, ready? First thing, push your palms away from the floor. Feel yourself filling that gap between your shoulder blades, engaging your upper back. Once you have control of that, then lift the knees up for 3, 2, 1. Drop your knees. Whew. We're going to do that a few more times. I might actually have us modify this to just 6. So that's what I have on my therapy homework. So this way I don't fatigue my shoulders too much. Let's go ahead and do 4 more. Ready? Step by step. Push your hands away from the floor. Feel yourself lift into the upper back, engage, and then you're going to want to engage your core. A lot of what we do in yoga does involve core strength as well. Once you have the full engagement of the upper body, then lift the knees. 3, 2, 1, drop. We have 3 more. So you can keep watching me if you want, just to see what I'm engaging. So if I were to disengage my shoulders, I'm putting all my body weight into my wrists. And if I lift my knees, I go nowhere with it. So what I end up doing is really engaging my back muscles to help support that body weight. So I am pushing from my heels away from the floor, lifting into my upper back, filling in that space between my shoulder blades. Again, I'm not dumping into my belly. So let's see how my belly is inflated right now. I'm just going to draw that belly back in, engage my core, look down between my hands, and then lift my knees up. 3, 2, 1, drop. Let's walk that through step by step 2 more times. Hands underneath the shoulders. Give me a moment. I'm going to push away from the floor, lift into my upper back. And I do this step by step because I want to make sure I'm engaging every muscle in my body that I know needs to be held in a modified plank like this, so that I am not overcompensating so much and I'm still supporting that left shoulder joint when I'm coming into body weight bearing. Now, once I have that, let me draw my belly in towards my navel. I can feel my core activate and control. Tuck my toes in, lift my knees. 3, 2, 1, drop. Okay, we're going to do that one more time. So, interestingly enough, 5 sets in, I'm feeling all kinds of feelings in my wrist. So before we do that last set together, why am I feeling this in my wrist? So when I first started bearing weight, I started noticing that because maybe I don't have all the strength here, so our arms naturally will redistribute body weight between this joint, your elbows, your wrist, your arms. And if I don't have enough strength around the muscles around my shoulders, my body's going to look for other ways to compensate. And somehow it was hurting my wrist in the very beginning. And it's strengthened since then as I've been building up my shoulder muscles. And that's why it's so important that while we're doing this, you see me breaking it down. Am I engaging my wrist? Am I engaging my core? Am I engaging my upper back? Am I actively pushing away from the floor so I'm not dumping my body weight down? So when I show you this every week, hopefully you see how I'm trying to break certain things that we do, because come the time down the line that I get back into modified vinyasa flows, modified chaturanga, all that down the line, um, it'll all come into play on what kind of parts of your body you need to engage. And as much as we think a lot of postures require, upper body strength and all that, a lot of it also requires core strength, upper back strength, this synchronizing your entire body so they can distribute your body weight more evenly so you're not overcompensating in one specific area. So we're going to do that one more time together. And this time I am going to break it down even a little bit more. So let's see. This is my last one with you. So my knees are underneath my hip joints. Hands are underneath the shoulder joints. Okay. Now, what does it look like when you're dumping in from the forefront, right? You can see actively that everything just starts to arch and sink. Now, if I were to remove my hair, when I'm sinking, notice how my shoulders shrug up to my ears like this. I have no neck. When I do this, I notice I shift my body weight downwards. I'm not activating anything in my body, so all that body weight is surrendering to gravity and it's all coming into my wrist. I don't want to do that because that's a lot of body weight to my poor wrist. So when I push away from the floor, I mean push. I'm pushing away, kind of feeling so I can feel myself filling the gap between my shoulder blades. So what I end up doing is I push away from the floor and lift my upper back like this, like so. And once I have that, I don't want to lift my knees and retract back. So I have to really focus, pushing away from the floor, actively pushing, making sure my forearms, my upper arms, my upper back are all engaging, shoulders are engaging, lifting and filling into that space. Imagine I'm pushing my upper back into someone's hands. If they put their hands between my shoulder blades, I'm trying to push into their hands right now. I'm going to draw that belly in, so I'm distributing some of my body weight into my core, and then lift my knees up. 3, 2, 1, and we drop down. Take a break, hands to your feet, child's pose. Just take your time here. Start to quiet your mind again. Start to settle into your body. Just at your own pace. Wanting to very gently start to roll your body up, meeting me back by swinging your legs forward to come into a seated pose. So before we go into one or two more stretches to the body and just come down for that Shavasana, something came to me that as we were doing this session together is that some people don't understand what I mean by pushing away from the floor to fill that space in your upper back, and that maybe you need a different kind of visualization. And what do I mean by, you know, filling that space between your shoulder blades? What do I mean by shoulders curling up to your ears? So I'm going to see if I can show it to you in this way. I'm going to actually face the wall so you can see what happens to my upper back as I'm doing this. So I'm going to pretend my wall is I'm going to pretend this wall is my mat. Now, if I were to dump my body weight in, hopefully you can see this. Now my shoulder blades kind of squeeze in, and my shoulders are coming real close to my ears. And it's really hard. So from here, I'm not really engaging anything. I just feel like I'm not engaged. I'm actually just dumping into my wrist space. Now, when I say push away from the floor, it's a good way to practice this on the wall. Push your hands away from the wall and notice how my back slightly rounds. And basically, all my shoulder blades, instead of caving in like this, it opens up like this. So I'm going to do that again. It's a great way to kind of practice engagement of your shoulders and back muscles. Hands at shoulder width. And just a neutral position, notice where you're at. Now, so you can just lean your chest between your upper arms. Notice how my shoulder just kind of just retract in like this. My shoulders are really close to my ears at this point. So this is when you're not really engaging your upper back when we're on tabletop. And when we do any poses for planks and stuff like that. And when you're here, and if you were to reverse this on like a tabletop position, you'll notice that gravity is actually working into your wrist. So pay attention to where my shoulder blades are. And now notice I'm going to push away from the floor, push away from the wall. See how my back just kind of activates and rounds and opens up in that space. I'm kind of filling that space between my shoulder blades. I'm going to do that again, and I'm going to dump back in. Now I'm going to activate my arms, my wrist, my upper back, and push away from the wall and do this. And Do that 2 more times. I'm going to retract. I'm disengaging. Now I'm going to engage. Engage and push back. Disengage, engage, and push back. So you can practice that on the wall. Hopefully that makes sense. I haven't seen what this looks like, but that's how I've been practicing with engagement. So hands to the wall and disengaging, and then engage and push back. So from a side view, see if it works on a side view. I'm disengaging, I'm engaging, I'm really pushing into that space, and then I'm not, and push away from the wall, and so you'll notice I'm not like doing this against the wall. I'm actually pushing and engaging from there. So hopefully that makes sense. I know we're not in person, and it's really, really, really difficult, but I'm hoping maybe once life goes back to normal, that shoulder mobility and stability workshop that I was planning on doing this month, I will be able to do in person with you guys. I actually prefer doing that one in person because I can actually guide each and one of you on what to engage and not engage and be able to work with you in person. But until we can do that, hopefully these weekly videos kind of show you in some capacity on how to work back with shoulders, how to work back with shoulder mobility. So I'll let you know what we're going to work on next week. I'm going to keep doing my homework, see how my body's feeling, if I can teach something else new, and anything I come up with, I'll share next week. But with that said, that one last stretch we're going to do is bounding go. So my favorite, literally my absolutely favorite pose to do to stretch out my inner thighs, um, my hips, because I'm rotating my knees away from my body here, is bounding go. So we're gonna actually hang out here for a good minute. So go ahead and grab the tops of your feet. Again, subtract and add as you like. When I say subtract for this position, maybe you don't want to go as deep. Go ahead and walk the heels away from your body. This is a lot easier for your low back to round in. If you want that nice, juicy, deep stretch, walk the heels closer to your body. Grab the tops of your feet wherever you are. You can bend the elbows close to your waist. Again, add, subtract, maybe bring the elbows out, stretch the arms forward. There are unlimited possibilities. Go ahead and take your option. And 1 minute, deep silence. Okay. Let's go ahead and just start to roll that upper body up. Let it feel good. Just cross your legs. To end our practice today, we're going to do Shavasana. So take this time, I'm going to give you about a minute or two to set up for Shavasana. You can lie on your back, on the ground. You can put legs up on the wall, whatever feels good. Go ahead and take a moment to do that. And I'm going to set up mine as well. So really imagine just, I hope like when we do these non-class videos, you really feel like you're just practicing at home with me and I'll conversate through just about everything. Um, so I'm going to do legs up on the wall. I know I'm feeling for that today. So um, whatever you're feeling, go ahead. No judgment. We're at home. We want to get comfy. If you're wondering what I'm doing, I like to fold a blanket to support my head and my neck space. If you have eye pillows, it's also really great to have eye pillows with you as well to cover your eyes, especially during the daytime. And if you don't have an eye pillow, just know that you can always take a little hand towel. So subtract and add to whatever you like for Shavasana. No right or wrong way. And just as you get settled in here, go ahead and close your eyes. Settle back into your breath. Surrender the thoughts of your mind. Surrender the weight of your body. In a society, in a world where we often demand time, space, and energy of our mind, our body, our spirit, when we come back onto this mat, honor yourself for giving yourself permission to slow down, Be okay with doing less. Be content with being enough. Just turn that attention inward this very moment. Let go of your thoughts. Come back to the present and feel, listen, be one with your breath. Slowly guide you back to the spine. Begin to move your fingertips. Move into your toes. Stretch the left arm behind your head, right arm behind your head. Just bring your feet on the wall or on the mat. Roll over to your favorite side. At your own pace, when you're ready. With your eyes closed, come back for that seated pose. Rest your hands onto your knees. We close this practice today with cleansing breaths. Perhaps in the course of this time, you've discovered, you've observed sensations and thoughts of your mind. And whatever rose and came through today, I'd like you to connect that into your breath. Breathe in the moments that provided you joy, enlightenment, higher vibrations. And when you exhale, to open your mouth and release with a ha sound. Let go of a sensation or a thought that didn't serve you on this mat and won't serve you off this mat. We're going to do this together. So empty that last exhale you have. Let's take a deep breath in. Exhale. Take another deep breath in. And exhale. Take another deep breath in. Exhale. Let's bring those hands into prayer to your heart. Bow your head. I hope today's practice guided you into a deeper notion of yourself. Hope you were able to connect to that inner guide, inner wisdom, inner light, and inner teacher within you. To know that you always have the permission to subtract and add into your practice as you need to, because you are your own teacher when you're on this mat. You are a student, you are a teacher of yoga. And always remember that. And remember that you're always a teacher and a student of life as well. Let's go ahead and open our eyes, lift our head up. Namaste. So I hope you guys feel just as good as I do. I have really enjoyed kind of doing this with you guys. And I'm going to conclude this video by just saying that every week I will do my best to share my journey of shoulder recovery and what I'm doing to get back and improving each week. And I hope you grow with me and you learn something during this process. I am still recovering, I'm still strengthening back to my normal self. And it's amazing to see what our bodies can do every couple days, every 2 weeks, every month, and what it can change if we just stay consistent, if we give ourselves the love we need and the patience and time. So I will see you guys back on the mat next time. Hope you guys join me for classes next week. And just keep doing you. Be patient. We're in this together. And I'll keep creating content for you guys so you guys can enjoy at home. And I miss you. And obviously, I love you.